Alrighty, how's everybody doing tonight? Pretty excited, huh? Well, one more week before spring break, if anybody cares. Nah, I guess nobody cares. We'll just work through it. We'll skip spring break. We'll just keep, everybody but us, we'll stay. We'll just keep going. All right. Well, if you're like me, you got to work anyway, right? But at least you get off from school, right? That's good. Get a little break. All right. Well, let's do this here. The take home for last week, I want to cover first, which was the white balance in-class lab. On this one, you're supposed to take 3 to 5 pictures, sunny, cloudy, indoors, using the white balance, and give me your URL to your, I think we did like what, week 6, something. We did 2 week 6s, I believe. Is that right? That's what I had you do, 2 week 6 sets. Is that right? Let me see what you guys did here. Let's pick on somebody here. Cheryl always gets it right. Let's look here. Cheryl, you uploaded the images. That's all right. You could have done that too, because I think I said in the instructions to upload the image, but I think I might have said at the end of the lab to give a URL, but maybe I didn't. They're on both places, aren't they? Shutterfly. Actually, it looks pretty good. I like the look and feel. Shutterfly is actually not too. It looks pretty good. They've given you guys more range on Shutterfly. It looks like. There we go. Week 6 white balance. Cool. Good. Actually, Shutterfly is actually not too bad. They allow you to do a download picture full image. Whose site is this? Yeah, it's actually pretty nice. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Looks good. Yeah, so if you guys want to switch to, I know talking about Shutterfly and Flickr, and you know, some of you have already come to me already saying your Flickr account's getting kind of full, right? How many's getting there? Is your Flickr account getting pretty full? You can do one of the two things. Well, you can only do one of two things. Create a brand new account in Flickr and start over again with a new Flickr site. Or if you wanted to try another service like Shutterfly, you might try that. Just try something different. Looks like they have given you guys a little bit more building in Shutterfly. I kind of like it. So don't delete your old stuff, though. Just keep it there, and then just create a new account. Make sense? So you can do that. Because I know some of you were reaching that limit on your site. So if you haven't yet finished uploading your URL to that, please do so. I've not yet graded week 6 yet, so you're okay on either the take-home or the in-class. The in-class, again, just a URL to the site. I'm going to pick on Cheryl again. I always do her first. There we go. Right to the set. Okay, I go to week 6. There we go. All right, now we got it. That's actually a pretty good image. I like that. Where's that taken at? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Oh, that's the default image you put in the set. I got you. All right. Let's see here. This one here. Well, that's pretty good. What time of day is that? Okay. Indoor. Prom time? Oh, yeah. Good. Very sunny, yes. Very sunny. Kind of shady on that one. Backed it up a little bit. Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, they have this, okay, auto 2 on that one. I got you. Cool. All right. So if you had issues with week 6, when we get started with the lab tonight, I'll come around and help you with that. A few of you came up afterwards, so we'll get that taken care of if you need help with week 6. This week, though, is a fun week. I think I told you that. I really like this week. I like all weeks, but this one's kind of a lot of fun. I think I shared with you, I believe I did, correct me if I'm wrong, about what I did at my master's for manipulating my grandma and grandpa's photo. Did I tell you guys about that story? Okay, I won't repeat it then. But anyway, it's pretty cool because I gave it as presents that year from all my family, especially my mom. My grandma died or grandfather died about 2 years after that. And so it was kind of cool. And my sisters all still have it up on their walls at their house. We've moved the last year or two. I don't have mine out of the box yet, but I made it, real nice paper, printed it out, and so it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was actually my first long stint with Photoshop when I really started working with Photoshop. And so it was a lot of fun. So this week, we're actually going to begin working with Photoshop and manipulating a photo or photos. Tonight in class lab, we're going to jump right into showing you how to do it in Photoshop, a couple examples of what to do, and then let you start it. And you're going to do you're going to pick a tutorial of your choice. I'll show you where to go to in a second, week 7, and go at creating your picture, manipulating it. And then for the take-home, you're going to get a photo that's preferably an old photo if you can find one. If you don't have one in your family, I'm guessing a family friend or neighbor or relative or somebody at church or wherever might have a picture that they've wanted restored. You can just ask around or put a note in Facebook, hey, does anybody have a picture you want me to restore? They can just send it to you right in Facebook and you can start editing it. That might be an idea. Okay? So you have no ideas whatsoever internally. You can just Facebook it, Twitter it, and within seconds you'll have about 20 emails or 20 responses, I guarantee it. All right? So, and then take that photo and begin manipulating it. And so tonight basically going to do, I'm going to show you on the overhead here in Photoshop first, some tools that you can use in restoration, okay? And then we're going to go to the tutorial or tutorials that you'll choose from for the in-class. And one of them I know is on changing skin tone to like a bluish tint, kind of the brain dead. Sorry. I saw this movie too. You guys probably did too. There we go, Avatar. The Avatar skin color effect. Show you how to do that. That actually is one of the tutorials you can choose from. Changing a blue sky to a scary, looming sky. Removing Blemish is also a popular one. That's the one I'm going to kind of do in class to show you, which is probably one out of the 3 that you'll use more so than the top 2 maybe. But removing blemishes and things like that, you are doing a lot. Any picture you see on any magazine, regardless how beautiful the person is, has been touched up at some type of touch-up, okay? Granted, there's people that need more touch-up than others, but every picture, regardless, again, how clear their complexion is, needs some type of touch-up, okay? And so, like when you guys go to Portrait Studio and when we do our portrait lab, there will be some folks possibly in the picture there that might need touch-up. And the touch-up basically is just that. It's just something, you don't want to take, like a birthmark you wouldn't touch up. It's part of, who that person is, all right? But, acne, people generally want that touched up if you can a little bit. I have seen extreme acne to where, you're not going to be able to do everything, but you can make it, fairly smooth. And the other will be, red eye, which is a no-brainer that you're going to take out of images. But skin tone is one of those things where Photoshop really helps us on getting things right. And there's a tool we'll use in just a second called hue saturation that actually you'll take the skin tone of any individual and you can manipulate it. Manipulate the color of that skin tone and keep the same texture without making it look plasticky or smooth. Kind of like had plastic surgery. You don't want that. And so you keep the same texture of the skin, but manipulate the color. Does that make sense? And the technical term is pigmentation of the skin. And so that's what's done with the avatar. With the red eye, it's a little different. In fact, a lot of you played maybe with Picasa, and I know some of you have because you've told me you have, and you've used it for the red eye thing. It'll have the red eye effect where it'll take the red eye out of the picture. Some of your cameras actually might have built into it software that does it for you, possibly. But any software that you get from Picasa to whatever software you use for photo manipulation is going to have a remove red eye feature for the most part. What I'm going to show you how to do tonight is not the red eye feature, but I'm going to focus on the third one, which is in the photo adjustment in class lab, which is a remove blemish. I'm going to fire up Photoshop and show you how to use a healing brush. Healing brush is really cool to use for blemishes. And the lab that you actually use for this one is pretty extreme. The picture is anyway. So I'll definitely won't do it justice flying through it. So if you want to do this with me and kind of follow along, that would be great. If you want to go ahead and fire up Photoshop at the bottom of your Mac, the PS icon, just click on that PS icon if you would and open it. Might have to double click on it. Secondly, once we've opened up Photoshop, inside of the photo adjustment in class lab, if you want to just watch me, you can, or you can follow along and bring the picture up and everything. I'll try to go slow enough to where you can do the follow along with me. I'm in the photo adjustment in class, and I'm going to click on this needed file here. And on the Mac, to do a right-click simulation, you click the Control key, bottom left, the very bottom left key, press and hold the Control key, click on the needed file link, and then this should pop up, okay? And so anytime on a Mac you need to use a right-click, again, left Control key, click on the link, and then we're going to do a Save Link As, and it should say blemish.jpg. I'm going to throw it right on my desktop. That's fine. Okay? And again, you can just follow along. I'm recording it so you can watch it later if you want to. Now I'm going to go to Photoshop and open this up from the desktop. Okay. Not too bad. But, needs a little touch up. So what I'll do is I'll start up with, for instance, we'll start up here on the forehead. If you go too far, like I just did, I'm using this zoom tool right here in Photoshop. If you go too far, you hit the Alt key. If you notice on the overhead, when I hit the Alt key, that plus turns to a minus. Let me turn the light off so you can see it better. So you do the Alt key. I have the magnifying glass clicked on the tool. So I hit the Alt key, it'll go out. But I want to zoom in on this area right here. And the one we're going to focus on for this one is right here. You've got spot healing, healing brush, patch, and red eye. We're going to do the healing brush. And what you want to do is you want to make the circumference of the brush about the same size but a little bit bigger than the area you're wanting to heal. So this one's quite a bit bigger than that blemish right there. So I'm going to come over here and click over to the left where it says 19 right now and come down a little bit more. Looks like 8 might work. Now watch. So the blemish is right there. I'm going to put my healing brush over here and click once. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. I want the spot healing brush. Because with the healing brush, you have to hit a source. I don't want that. Okay, spot healing brush, click, done. All right, so that's one. So let's go over here and we can make this maybe a little bit smaller, not much. Because some of these are freckles, I'm going to keep those in there. This one right here, pretty good size. On this one, I'm going to try to get rid of that one to smooth it out. You say over here, some students say, can you get rid of this? You could, but it would make it look kind of plasticky to do that, actually. I don't want to get rid of something that's... We could get rid of these. If you see what I'm doing, I'm making sure that the only reason I'm going away from like that is to make sure I'm actually in the right place. And if it's too far away like mine is, I'll click in a little bit further. Come back up. The one thing I didn't do, I should have done, is duplicate this layer to have the original. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Now to duplicate in Photoshop, I'm going to assume that you don't know how to do this. So I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't already know. And in Photoshop, you'll notice this background layer is right now locked. And in Photoshop, it allows you to do layering and manipulate the layering. And what I should have done, I didn't do, is double click on this background layer, which is going to be the default layer when it comes in. And then once I double click it, I can click it and drag it to this new icon. And this one here, I could label like original. And this one here, I could label like modified. And the little eye to the left of the image, I'm hiding it and only working on the modified. So I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick to show you what the original was, and then we'll let me save this first here. Blemish, yep. Good. Okay, that's the original one. So I'm going to take this, and in the Mac, if you notice on the overhead, this little tool right here, I'm going to use this one too, which is a selection tool. With the selection tool, this is the one I just brought in that I forgot to copy earlier. If I do a Command A on the Mac, Control A on the PC, it's going to put a selection control around this whole picture. And then if I do a Command C, it's going to copy it. And I'm going to come over here to the actual project I'm working on that has original and modified. And I'm going to do Control V or Command V to paste it. Now you'll see that layer 1 here. This is actually the original now. So there's the original, and here's a modified. Original, modified. And really, if I blow it up just a little bit, not too much, you can see it really pretty good right in that area there. So original, modified. So not a lot of change, and I could definitely do more changes on it. But mainly the real prominent ones is what I wanted to focus on. If you try to do these cheeks, even though it's, it will make it look plasticky if I try to do that. I'm just focusing only on the main blemishes. These up here on our forehead, this one down here, these down here I probably didn't have to touch. I got this one and this here, and that's it. So 5 or 6 of them, that's about it. Trying to clear those up. And so the purpose of this lab is you're going to have an original and a modified, okay? And so I think in the exercise, for whichever one you choose, I tell you here to if you try to attach the PSD file, which is, you'll notice on this Blemish file, it's blemish.psd, it can get pretty good size, and Eagle won't like it. So what you would do is this. If you look on the overhead, this is my original. I could save that as, Blemish dot, original, Blemish underscore original or something like that. And change it to JPEG. And then uncheck my original, go to modified. Change this to JPEG. And this will be my modified version. And then those would be the only two that I'd want you to upload would be the JPEGs, as that's it, the original and modified. Okay, so that's a Blemish one. Now let me show you the other one, the avatar skin color change. I'm going to go ahead and download this file. The tutorials, by the way, for what I just did for the Blemish and all these are actually on these links here. I'm just going to go and download the avatar one. This one's pretty detailed, and you can go as detailed as you want to, as simple as you want to. Let me go ahead and exit out of this. Open up the TC. Okay, it's Tom Cruise. And what it's supposed to actually look like when it's done, I will click on the link to show you that one. When it's finished, there's the original, right? Boom. And let me scroll down to the finished copy. Original, modified. Now, the hardest part for this part, I'll just let you know, is going to be the ears, and getting these lines to show up as they have them showing up here. The lines in the face. Everything else is fairly, not easy, but not as difficult, okay? So for instance, you want to forget the ears and just do the face with the lines, that's fine. Or maybe just the face without the lines and forget the ears, that's fine. You don't have to do completely. It is 14 steps, but again, most students I have do this, that choose this one, say the hardest part for them is the ears and the lines in the face, okay? I believe I have, let me look here real quick, maybe some examples here from past. I don't know. Let me look here, manipulation. Here's one. This one was pretty gruesome. I don't know if you guys saw this one. Here's the original image, okay, before. There's the next. And it's pretty detailed too. It's pretty detailed. And look over here. Oh, you can get a picture of it on your t-shirt. All right, so you got some pretty gruesome ones on this one, or that one actually. But it's I mean, it took quite a bit to get it there. Now, let me show you some before I go to the one for Avatar. Let me show you some before and after of family type pictures. Here's the before. Pretty light. Not too bad of an image though, really. I'm guessing you notice over here on this side it's kind of dark, and then here it's kind of light. Might have been in a photo album or something. This was exposed to light, possibly. And let's see here, go to the next, I believe it's the modified one. Lightened it up quite a bit, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but it actually colored the rose here, well, pink. Put pink in the actual flower here, or whatever it is. So I thought it was kind of cool. Well, enough of that. So you can look at those later. I got tons of examples here you can look at. Anything that says manipulation for 225, I think I got one here. Got one for spring 2010, photo manipulation. So you can look at any of those. So let me just show you real quick how to do avatar type of effect. There's a lot of ways to do it. I'm going to show you the way I do it, or I would do it. The first is, the one I like to use to select images is this Polygonal Lasso tool. To select parts of an image, there's Lasso. The Lasso is actually freehand. It's a freehand tool. You don't like that. I don't like to use that. The other one is Magnet Lasso. It's supposed to follow along whatever your between light and dark. It does a fairly good job, but see what it did just there around the sideburns there? Kind of jumped. So I don't like that. So the one I actually use all the time, I have for years, is Polygonal Lasso tool. It takes a little longer, but you can be more detailed. Before you do any selection in Photoshop of any image, I do suggest making it as big as you can on your canvas. Now, if, for instance, you lose focus of your image altogether like this, a real easy, quick tool, keyboard command, is Control or Command 0 on a Mac, Control 0 on a PC. Command 0 will bring everything back into focus on your canvas, Command 0. So you could be at 800%, do a Command 0, it's going to bring it back, okay? If you're on a PC, Control 0. So let me go ahead and bring up Tom Cruise's face here. I'm going to do Polygonal Lasso tool. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to start up here, right here in the middle part of his forehead, at his hairline. And the way Polygonal Lasso tool is, you click, click, click as you go around whatever object you are going around. I'm even going to get his ear in this one. Now, one thing you got to make sure on this one is do not double click, and if your hands get tired, just let go of the mouse and let them rest for a second. Okay? It's not going to do anything. But I find you don't want to get like 90% done and double click and have to start over again. And by the way, if you need to start over again or something messes up, you can do what's called the escape key and the Command D. Command D will deselect your selection. I'm not going to be exact on this one. I'm just going to kind of show you. How I do the skin tone. I've even done this for family members that wanted to have a tan during the summer and they didn't have one. Doing hue saturation. You'll see in a second. You can do a lot of colorization with it pretty easy. Okay, I've selected the area. To make sure I don't lose my selection, I always copy it and duplicate it, copy and paste it. So I'm going to do again a Command C, Command V. And what I've just done is I've actually copy and pasted that selection you can see on the overhead. I still have my original though that I'm playing with, but here's the part I'm actually going to manipulate for this one. And just to make sure I have the original, I don't mess it up, I'm going to duplicate that original. And I'm going to call it Origin. I'm going to drag it up here. All right. I'm going to hide that for now. Okay. So here's the part I'm going to manipulate here. I'm going to go to the selection tool first. Then we'll talk here now about the different ways to manipulate this. You've got image mode. You want to make sure if there's ever a time you cannot manipulate an image or nothing's not working, make sure the image is actually in RGB color. If it's an indexed or even multicolor, I've seen you won't be able to change anything. So make sure it's an RGB color. Yours will be, but just in case that ever happens. Then we have layer styles. Layer styles go over, again, just the style that's on the layer itself. And I'm going to click on the layer I'm actually going to be on here. Make sure you click on the layer 1. So I'm going to go to image adjustment, and I'm going to go to hue saturation. Now watch. That's all I've done, image adjustment, hue saturation, and then I'm going to take the hue only. I'm going to drag it over all the way to the left. That's all I've done. Okay? Now I can take that, bring up the original, or better yet, let me bring up this here, keep the original. And so the reason I can see this layer here over the layer 1 is this layer 1 is a normal layer. Layer 0 is a normal layer. If I was to take and, for instance, I can bring the opacity down on this one I just manipulated to either make the blue full blue or bring it down a little bit to maybe not be as blue as it was originally. Okay? You'll notice I missed some on the hairline here. No big deal. So that's hue saturation. And image adjustment, hue saturation is the one you're going to stay with when you're doing this one. And again, depending on where you go, is going to depending on what color it's going to bring forth. Now also, just a trick here, if you ever want to take a picture to true grayscale, just the layer only, and keep other layers color, you can take the saturation back down to the left, and notice what it does. It brings all that image down, or that pigmentation, to a true black and white tone, just by taking saturation all the way to the left. And since I did this before, you'll notice I have a lot more play here. Different types of hue now with my saturation. So I might stick with something like that. So that would be the beginning of that lab for Avatar. Have a good start for it anyway. So that's hue saturation. Again, you'll notice though, on the hue saturation, one thing I like to show students on hue saturation is, go back, I want to go to, like, say, an area that's like right in here, okay? A little closer, right in here. So here's the original skin tone. I want you to notice actually the tone of the skin, the texture of the skin, and then applying the hue saturation. Same texture and tone of the same texture of the skin as here. We've just changed the pigmentation is all you've done. Okay? Make sense? So hue saturation does not do anything but change the pigmentation of the skin that you are highlighting, or whatever object you're highlighting. Again, Command 0 to bring it back into full blown. So anytime you do anything in Photoshop on an image, make sure and have the original to play with, duplicate it, hide it, and then your manipulation. Make sense? Okay? So that's that one. And then the last one you can choose from tonight on the in class is the background, change blue sky to scary dark sky. Create an apocalyptic tower scene in Photoshop. Here's what it starts with, and you can use any image you want to. You don't have to use the images in the tutorial. You can go out and find whatever image you want to. Just simple tower. They want you to make a copy of the layer. Go out somewhere and find a Google luminous sky or beautiful sky in there. either one. And when you do the hue saturation, you're going to make it maybe a, kind of a nice cloudy kind of sky to more dark, ominous type of sky. And then it has you come in and bring in a flare effect, I believe. Yeah, it has you add a flare render. Then it has you bring in an object, and it doesn't have to be this object. It's going to be a flying object over the sky coming into the picture. It has you do a little manipulation to that, like smoke coming out of his eyes. So I'll scroll down to the finished copy on that. So when it's done, it's basically going to look like this. It could look like that. Basically on this one, you're looking at a main object. You're bringing in sky, manipulating with hue saturation. And for the third object, you can, or if you don't want to, you don't have to bring that in. The main thing I do want to see on this one, if you choose it, is a main object, two separate objects from the sky. The sky is separate, you found it somewhere else, and the object you found somewhere else. Make sense? And then manipulate the sky with hue saturation. Basically is all you're doing on that one. So the choices you have is the avatar, which I went over, blemish I went over. The blue sky is kind of a combination of the hue saturation one I did with avatar. You are doing a little bit, you might have to do a little bit of manipulation with the image, the main image that you bring in, but I don't think there's actually much manipulation on that one. So out of the three, easy one would be this number 2. Second easiest would be blemish. Well, let's make a difficult level. Difficult level, easiest is this one, number 2. Hardest would be the avatar. Middle range would be the blemish one probably. Make sense? So you choose whichever one you want to do. And because the reason I have you guys do that this week, and definitely have fun with it, because you will be manipulating photos all the time. And I know most of you have had Photoshop, but you've really never had time to really play with it and to really have fun with it. And the best way you're going to learn any tool in any thing that you use is basically by just playing with it over and over and over again. And the reason I have you guys use for your take-home an image that is a personal image is because it means something to you personally, and you're going to get something out of it. So before I let you go at it real quick, be thinking about those 3. You can go ahead and start if you want to, but I wanted to talk about the take-home and show you some examples or some things you can do for photo manipulation for your take-home. Again, you're going to use an image that needs manipulation, whether it's blemish, restoration, whatever. Make the needed adjustment. Save a before and after. You can upload it to your photo site, whatever photo site you have. And then what I'm going to do actually different for this one is I am going to have you give me your original JPEGs on this one next week, and I'm going to upload it to my Foki site for spring 2012 and put them all in there, and we're going to look at them together. So the first of class next week, I will do that the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, shouldn't take that long, and collect all your images from everybody, your full JPEGs. And so make sure and bring your full JPEGs next week, every before and after, and on a USB or something, and I'll collect them. Probably easiest to do that. And so one thing I do want to show you is some examples of before and after is, say you have images that are kind of cracked, old images that have lines in them and things. Let me show you. Here's a good one. Let me log into the site so I can get the full quality. This is my photo site. I think I've mentioned it before. I use a lot. It's $30 a year that I pay for this service, but it's unlimited space. I've had it for about 7 or 8 years, something like that. I really like it. It's as a photographer, I've done weddings to where what's cool about it is you can set up different shops in here for people, and then you can assign prices to them if you wanted to. And then they can view them, download them, but if they wanted them printed or put on a coffee mug or t-shirt or something, Foki will actually do that for them. Foki has their own set price, but you can, as a photographer, add your price to it as well. So that's really nice. Okay, so let me get this full image here of this one. Download the original file. This one was actually scanned in. And by the way, if you need to scan a picture in and you don't have a digital copy of it, you don't have a scanner at home, right out here when you walk out tonight on the left side, there's 3 scanners against the wall. Those are for you to use, and if you notice, nobody ever uses them. So they're usually always open to use, okay? And if you think you are going to need to scan something and you might want a little step-by-step how to do it, stop me before you leave tonight and I'll show you how to do it. It's pretty simple to use, the system is, okay? So if you think you do need to scan something, use these scanners out here. You don't need to go buy your own scanner or anything like that. Okay, so let me open up this image here in Photoshop and show you how you can get rid of, because a lot of times in old pictures you have cracks that have been maybe in a Bible or, you know, over the years. We've all seen them to where they, you know, for whatever reason over time. This was actually not too bad. It does have some lines in it. And just show you some tricks to do. First thing I want to do is with this one is duplicate the picture. We'll go ahead and make this original. Okay, I'll hide that. All right, now the first thing I want to do is kind of observe the picture, what's wrong with it. What do you see what's wrong with this picture? Help me. What do you got? Little white cracks everywhere, right? Corner. But one thing that has a common that's nice for me is, easy for me, is the background's fairly static, color-wise. It's this white door, but it's kind of a darker background. So it's kind of nice, for me anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an example of a background that I want to use. And for this one, there's a number of things you can do. You can select a background image, like so, and copy it, just to need it, just to have it, basically, for reference later. So I'm going to copy this one. And all I've done is just copied a swatch of that color is all I'm doing for right now. And I might use it, I might not use it. I'm going to keep it out there, though. Next thing I want to do is these cracks here that are in, I'm going to focus on the corners first, away from this is going to be the hardest part right here. Specifically right in here is going to be the toughest part to work on. And so let's start up here in the upper left corner and show you how you could manipulate this picture. Okay, there's a clone stamp tool, which you might have used before. Clone stamp tool needs an original source, which I'm going to just go down this line right here, basically. And you use the Alt key to get the source, press it, and I'm just clicking as I go down here to begin filling in those cracks ever so lightly. You just want to take your time on it. You reposition the Alt as well. Okay, I'm going to try to focus here on something that's going to be real difficult, and then I'll stop on this one. But you can see cloning is what you definitely want to use for what I just showed you over here. This is going to be the tougher part here. But you can still use a clone stamp tool on this one. I'm going to focus right here on the hairline, coming down right here over this part, and I'll stop, okay? Because this is going to take hours to do this. But before I do that, though, let me show you something. What I would do is I wouldn't worry about getting a perfect corner here, because what I would do is actually take and since it's not a perfect square, I go ahead and take this to kind of just square it off a little bit, be easier for me. Manipulation-wise, I don't want to cut off any of the image. I'm going to copy that, paste it. So there's my new one I'm actually working on. Okay, so let me just show you real quick, because most of your pictures you guys have are going to be in this realm here, so that's why I'm going to spend a little time showing you. Okay, so back to clone stamp. It's going to be a little bit bigger circle for this one, or a little bit smaller circle, I'm sorry. We'll bring it down a little bit. There you go. Okay, so again, Alt, and Alt's both for the Mac and PC if you're using it. And by the way, Pixlr has this option as well. Pixlr, you can do the clone stamp, I believe. They have that option on there. This is the tricky part here because they have a line right there, so I'm going to kind of jump over. Okay. Now, I'm going to stop there. So there's my modified, which I got tons more to do. Let me come back to the original. There's the original, modified. Original, modified. Getting there slowly by slowly, little by little. Now what you can also do too is on these if you see, that something not matching up right, you can use over here the blur tool, and you can bring it down a little lower. It's usually 50% by default, like maybe 20%. What that's going to do is blur together any lines maybe that didn't quite come so great, didn't work so good for you. So again, original, modified. So let's start to it anyway. All right. So again, you can see how these can take a while, and but it's well worth it and taking your time. Clone stamp tool for this one. Rectangle marquee tool to trim it down, and clone stamp tool to do everything from taking out the white lines to the face. Just make sure when you're doing the face, for sure you're zoomed in pretty close. And you keep moving your alt point around the area that you're needing to clone. That's a tricky part too. Okay? Questions on that? On pictures that have cracks in it? Okay. That's probably going to be the most difficult part, I'm guessing, when you choose, if you choose that one, if you get a picture kind of like this one. Okay, so we're going to use the remainder of the time, like it's 30, 40 minutes or whatever, to go ahead and choose, if you haven't already started, the in-class adjustment. Avatar. How many's going to do avatar? Raise your hand. How many's doing avatar? Okay, good. How many's doing the blue sky to scary sky? Okay. How many's doing the Blemish one? There you go. Good. Got a pretty good even spread there. So I'm just going to walk around real quick and see if you need help, and have fun. Enjoy it.